My mom is Buddhist. No bactericidal antibiotics, only bacteriostatic, the patient's son demanded. The nurse nodded obediently and secretly altered my prescription without consulting me. When I discovered it, I immediately corrected the order and reprimanded her harshly. The patient's bloodstream is riddled with bacteria. Bacteriostatic antibiotics act too slowly. Do you want her to die? Eventually, the patient recovered and was discharged. But a few days later, she happened to see the medication chart and realized she had been given a bactericidal drug. Believing this had destroyed her spiritual merit and broken her karmic vows, she hanged herself. When her family stormed into the hospital, the nurse pointed at me and said, I had already changed it to bacteriostatic. Dr. Sutton changed it back. I was injected with an unknown substance and died of respiratory failure. When I opened my eyes again, I was back. Back at the moment the nurse tried to secretly switch the medication. This time, I chose to play blind. Ma'am, I smiled calmly, rest assured. This medication isn't bactericidal. It won't harm your spiritual merit. I blinked once, trying to suppress the tremor in my chest. I had been reborn. In my previous life, the nurse, Becky White, had said those exact same words. The patient was named Shirley Watts. Her son, Travis Watts, was aggressive from the start. My mom believes in nonviolence. You doctors have no right to use bactericidal drugs. I frowned. Shirley had been admitted with a raging fever and severe sepsis. Her lungs were nearly white on the CT scan. The blood culture report showed bacterial overload. The most effective treatment was a fast-acting bactericidal antibiotic, penicillin. If we used only bacteriostatic drugs to appease her son's beliefs, the infection would drag on, possibly killing her. But some patients are stubborn about their beliefs. For now, I decided to appease them. Out of caution, I also informed several nurses at the station about the situation. After writing the order for Shirley, I continued with my rounds. When I arrived at her room, I saw Becky White already administering the fourth. At first, I was relieved. Some patients make ridiculous demands, but as healthcare workers, our duty is to save lives. Then I saw the IV bag. My pupils contracted sharply. I had prescribed penicillin, a bactericidal drug. She was administering erythromycin, a bacteriostatic one. Becky, I said coldly, come outside. Once in the hallway, I pointed to the medication bag. What happened to the triple check, double verification protocol? This drug is wrong. Didn't you notice? She picked up the bag and rolled her eyes. Dr. Sutton, it's fine. We nurses aren't as free as you doctors. Stop nitpicking. I pulled up Shirley's chart on the laptop and pointed at my written prescription. It says penicillin. You gave her erythromycin. How is that not a mistake? She shrugged. You should respect the patient's beliefs. She said no bactericidal meds. Erythromycin is good. It's not killing bacteria. It just slows them down. It's peaceful. I let out a dry laugh. She hadn't been humoring the patient. She genuinely believed that crap. I snapped. Her bloodstream is flooded with bacteria. She's already in critical condition. Bacteriostatic meds won't act fast enough. She could die. Her lungs are nearly necrotic. Are you trying to kill her? Becky went pale and quietly swapped the drugs back. After serious consideration, I decided to report her to the head nurse. Altering a doctor's orders without authorization was a serious offense. But Becky must have anticipated that. She cornered me in the break room, grabbed my leg, and sobbed like a damsel in distress. Please, Dr. Sutton, don't report me. I know I messed up. I'll never do it again. I worked so hard to get into this hospital. If I get fired, my younger siblings won't have money for school. Thinking of her cute little siblings from her chat profile, I hesitated. In the end, I softened. Under my care, Shirley recovered steadily and was discharged. But one day, Travis burst into our department, wild-eyed and waving a syringe filled with an unknown liquid. Who the hell prescribed my mom bactericidal antibiotics? Get your ass out here. It was lunchtime. Only Becky and I were on duty. Sensing danger, I hit the emergency button and tried to defuse the situation. Your mother was already discharged. What's going on? Can you explain? Travis burst into tears. She was cleaning and found the insurance report. When she realized she'd been given bactericidal meds, she said she'd broken her karmic vow. She said she'd never reach enlightenment. She hung herself to repent. I was horrified. Extreme as it sounded, I had no doubt the old lady meant it, but penicillin had been the only way to save her. Travis began screaming again, jabbing the syringe toward us. I shielded Becky and backed away. There was nowhere else to go. No security in sight. Then Becky suddenly pointed at me, crying. It was Dr. Sutton. I had already changed it to bacteriostatic meds. She changed it back. Travis's eyes locked onto mine. Before I could explain, he lunged forward and jammed the syringe into my neck. "You like antibiotics? Then enjoy." I collapsed. Becky cried to the police. I was scared. I didn't think he'd actually do it. Then she told the hospital staff, Dr. Sutton brought it on herself. She didn't respect the patient's beliefs. She even went on livestream, painting herself as a sympathetic witness and basking in public sympathy, while I lay cold in the morgue. I hated Travis for his ignorance. I hated Becky White for her lies. And then I woke up. Back at the very moment she was about to inject Shirley with erythromycin. This time, I wouldn't stop her. Let karma take its course. Chapter 2. Becky White looked uneasy under my stare. Dr. Sutton. Is there something wrong? I smiled faintly, noticing how she instinctively moved to block the IV stand. No, nothing. Just mesmerized by your flawless technique, Becky. That IV puncture was really precise. Flattery lit up her face. I shot one last glance at the infusion pump beside Shirley's bed, then turned and walked out of the room without hesitation. Shirley had a long-standing heart condition. When she was admitted, she was already in early heart failure. That's why I'd ordered digoxin to be administered via pump immediately. But digoxin, when combined with erythromycin, can cause severe toxic reactions, sometimes even fatal ones. Becky clearly didn't know that, but I did. Let the show begin. I didn't stop her. I didn't intervene. Let Becky sing her own funeral song. I was happy to play blind. Just as I reached the door, Travis called after me, pointing at the IV bag. Dr. Sutton, this medication, is it what we asked for? Is it effective? When will my mom wake up? I paused for a moment. How convenient. I didn't even have to make up a lie. Becky eagerly stepped between me and the IV stand and answered with fake professionalism, It's bacteriostatic, just like you asked. Very gentle, works great. She added with confidence, Don't worry, once the antibiotics finish and the fever breaks, she'll regain consciousness. I exhaled slowly and smiled at Travis, full of sincerity. Yes, the meds are working just fine. As long as we follow protocol, she'll be out of danger soon. Then I added, with Nurse White's excellent care, she's in good hands. Becky looked smug. Travis nodded repeatedly, satisfied with what he heard. I hadn't lied. With Becky's care, Shirley was probably going to die faster. By late afternoon, Shirley's fever had dropped and her consciousness had improved. I wasn't surprised. Erythromycin, although not ideal, was still an antibiotic. It had some effect. As I stepped out to refill my water bottle, I overheard Becky bragging at the nurse station. I'm a miracle worker. This morning, that old lady was burning up and unconscious, and now fever, gone. One of the more grounded nurses interrupted her gently. Well, Becky, we were just following Dr. Sutton's treatment plan. Sure, our care matters, but it's the doctor's diagnosis and prescriptions that really count. Becky rolled her eyes. Oh, please. Big deal. She's got a fancy degree. What makes her so special? I could have handled this patient just fine on my own. Then she lowered her voice conspiratorially. You don't know what she's like. That last night shift we worked together, she slept through the whole damn night. And the next morning, I was the one getting meds, running everywhere. What are we, doctor's personal servants? I froze behind the water cooler. So, she hated me this much? We work different shifts. Night nurses get time to rest. Doctors have morning rounds. If I sleep during quiet hours, that's normal. And I only asked her to pick up meds once because we had a rescue case and she was on duty. But Becky clearly didn't care about logic. The resentment in her voice. It wasn't new. In my last life, after she cried and begged me for mercy, I not only didn't report her, I gave her $70 to help buy things for her siblings. And now she was stabbing me in the back? My fists clenched involuntarily. Ungrateful snake. Suddenly, a scream echoed from the hallway. Help! Someone help! My mom passed out. It was Travis. I took a deep breath, adjusted my expression, and calmly walked toward the chaos. Let the curtain rise. I entered the room. Becky and several nurses rushed in behind me. The stench hit me first, acrid, foul. Shirley was retching violently. Her body trembled. Sweat soaked the sheets. The monitor beside her was screaming with alarms. Becky panicked and grabbed Shirley by the shoulders, yelling, "What's happening? Her fever was gone. What is this?" Travis shoved her aside. What do you mean? What is this? You tell me. She was fine this morning. Now she's pissing and shitting herself. She said only dying people do that. Becky's face went pale. Travis's expression hardened. His voice turned menacing. You gave her the meds, didn't you? What the hell did you put in that IV? Becky's guilt was showing. She dropped to the floor, stammering, "Nobilium. I followed the doctor's orders." Then she stood up suddenly, forced calm into her tone, and pointed at me. You want someone to blame? Talk to Dr. Sutton. She's the one who wrote the prescription. I just gave the shot. I sneered coldly. When she altered my orders, she was arrogant and self-righteous. Now she was just a coward. I walked to the IV bag and yelled, "What is this?" I ordered penicillin. "Why the hell is this erythromycin?" Before anyone could answer, Shirley's eyes rolled back and she collapsed. We didn't have time to argue. Everyone launched into emergency mode. Becky, finally free from scrutiny, started fanning the flames again. It must be Dr. Sutton's fault. She's inexperienced. She probably prescribed the wrong meds. I nearly laughed. You want to talk about inexperience? I pointed at the chart. The patient has heart failure. I prescribed digoxin. You added erythromycin. Those two don't mix. And you said her penicillin skin test was negative. That's the only reason I approved the prescription. Travis turned to Becky with rage. She never did a skin test. That was a lie. Becky's knees buckled. She tried again to shift the blame. Okay. I switched the meds, but just to something gentler. Her condition getting worse? That's not on me. That's on Dr. Sutton. The head nurse barged in, just in time to hear that. Without hesitation, she slapped Becky across the face. You idiot. Digoxin and erythromycin are a deadly combo. Don't you study? You want to use patients as your science experiments? I kept performing CPR and shouted, You altered my order. Do you understand what you've done? This is criminal negligence. Becky was stunned speechless, trembling as she shook her head. I didn't know. I didn't mean to. I let out a cold breath. You called me a snob because I had more degrees? Those degrees were the only reason I knew not to kill someone today. Travis lunged forward and grabbed Becky by the throat. You murdered her. If my mom dies, I swear to God I'll make you pay with your life. Becky flailed and gasped, crying out in desperation. I was trying to help. You said your mom was a Buddhist and wouldn't take bactericidal drugs. Penicillin kills bacteria. I thought erythromycin would be better. I laughed bitterly. In my past life, Travis didn't attack the hospital out of grief. He just wanted to keep living off his mom's retirement check. He only cared about her as a source of income. But Becky didn't know that. She thought he'd go easy on her. Instead, she got punched in the face. Repeatedly. I'm gonna kill you, you stupid bitch. Security arrived to find Becky covered in blood, nearly unconscious. Travis still kicking. You killed my mom. I'll make you pay. And I just stood there and watched. It was the most satisfying thing I'd seen in 2 lifetimes. But even with my hatred, I still had a duty. I stepped forward to help with CPR. To everyone's surprise, Shirley survived the cardiac arrest. She was lucky. Travis fell to his knees beside her, sobbing and clutching her hands. Onlookers murmured from the hallway, Poor guy. You can't blame him for losing control. I would have stabbed someone if that was my mom. What kind of hospital lets a nurse screw up like this? The director of internal medicine arrived and found Becky unconscious, bleeding on the floor. Time to switch patients. Shirley was stable, for now. But Becky? She was on her way to the ER. Chapter 3. Becky White woke up 3 days later. Travis had originally planned to sue the hospital, hoping to cash in on his mother's near-death experience. But because he beat Becky so badly that she was declared critically injured, the hospital's legal team stepped in. In a private settlement, the hospital agreed not to press charges against Travis for the assault, and in exchange, Travis dropped any claims related to his mother's care. As for Becky, she was fired immediately. Her nursing license was revoked for gross negligence and falsifying medical orders. When she was told, she broke down sobbing. Please, don't do this, she begged the department head. I swear I'll never do it again. If I lose this job, my little brother and sister won't have food to eat. The director, a stone-faced man named Dr. Carter, crossed his arms and replied coldly, Funny, you didn't think about them when you altered that prescription. This is the best-case scenario for you. You're lucky the patient didn't die, and lucky you got hurt. If not, we'd be meeting in a courtroom, not an office. He paused, then added more gently, "We know you're an orphan raising 2 kids, so we've decided not to make you pay back the hospital for Shirley's treatment. Once you're discharged, go home and rest." A week later, Becky left the hospital. She couldn't even afford to pay her own medical bills. I figured that would be the last I'd ever hear from her. I was wrong. A few days later, Becky popped up on TikTok. She had started a new channel. In her first video, she was crying into the camera. "My name is Becky White, and I'm a nurse who got screwed by the system. After a medical incident, Dr. Sutton forced me to take the fall. I was nothing but a pawn. She made me cover for her mistake, then got me fired. She sat in her office all day sipping coffee while I ran around like her personal assistant. Now I've lost everything, and all she does is flash that pretty smile and get away with murder." The clip blew up. Dr. Sutton started trending on Twitter. Some random stranger with a frog avatar commented, "If she's so pretty and still got this much power, she must have connections. Probably hospital admin family or some shit." Someone else chimed in, "God, I feel for Becky. She's raising 2 kids alone and got dumped like trash. Let's set up a GoFundMe." I stared at the screen, my jaw clenched so hard it hurt. She was really trying to play the victim, even now. I grabbed my phone and stood up. A nearby colleague asked, "Dr. Sutton, you're not still mad about that, are you? You just finished resuscitation duty." "Yeah," I said with a tight smile. But Becky just handed me the perfect opening. She had not only twisted the truth, she'd gone viral dragging the hospital's name through the mud. When Dr. Carter saw the video, he slammed his desk so hard the frame rattled. "That damn idiot," he shouted. "We gave her mercy, and now she's defaming the hospital?" No wonder the PR department called this morning about all the hate comments on our official page. Does she think our lawyers are just here to warm chairs? Within hours, the hospital's comms team posted a formal statement explaining everything. Then they worked with IT to retrieve security footage from the day of the incident. The moment that footage was published, public opinion flipped. "Oh my God, she altered the prescription? Yo, this chick switched the meds herself and then blamed the doctor? What the hell?" I was there that day. Becky got punched because the patient's family knew she was the one who messed up. My grandma was in the next room. If she'd been the one harmed, I'd have gone nuclear too. I work in healthcare. Some doctors suck, but Sutton's not like that. Becky, that girl was always off. While the public devoured the footage, the hospital's lawyers filed an official lawsuit against Becky. Charges, defamation, reputational harm, and reimbursement for Shirley Watts' treatment costs. Becky's jaw hit the floor when she found out, but she reacted fast. That same night, she posted a tearful apology video. Please forgive me, I was desperate. I didn't mean to cause any harm, I have 2 kids. But this time, no one was buying it. If they keep that nurse around, I'm never going to Cityview General again. She's a liability. She nearly killed a patient and then lied about it. Fire wasn't enough. Why is she still online? Days later, Becky was banned from every major social media platform. And her court case? It went to trial. She was ordered to repay over $30,000 in damages. Because of the viral nature of her lies, her offense met the threshold for criminal liability. She was sentenced to 1 year in prison. When I heard the verdict, I finally felt at peace. But it didn't last. 2 days later, Travis Watts caused another scene. He refused to leave the hospital. "You got any proof my mom's fully recovered?" he demanded. "If not, we're staying." Dr. Carter and I exchanged glances. Here we go again. It had been 2 months. Shirley's condition had stabilized long ago, but Travis and his mother were still squatting in a private recovery suite. Beds were scarce. Patients lined the halls on stretchers. But Shirley's room? Occupied. "Mr. Watts," Carter said patiently, "we really need this space. How about we transfer your mom to the rehab wing? That way..." Travis cut him off. "Nah. Rehab doesn't have the same equipment. What if that bitch nurse's treatment left her with some permanent damage?" I clenched my fists under the desk. He was treating our hospital like a free nursing home. And why not? It was better than any assisted living facility. Free care. Clean food. Constant monitoring. No rent. Back in the office, Carter was livid. We never should have intervened in that case. Let them sue each other into the ground. Now we're the ones stuck with the bill. I sat quietly, staring into my water cup. 2 lives, 2 timelines, and the people who killed me last time, now thriving under our roof. It made my blood boil. Suddenly, a scream echoed through the hall. "Help! Help! The hospital killed my mom." We bolted. Travis was shouting in the hallway, while Shirley lay on her bed, ghost pale and motionless. She wasn't breathing. I didn't hesitate. CPR protocol kicked in. But Travis grabbed me mid-compression and screamed in my face. "You did this on purpose. You wanted us gone. You sabotaged her treatment. I'll sue all of you. You're not doctors. You're murderers." People crowded in the hallway, murmuring. I mean, that family sucks, but would the hospital really go that far? My dad's in the hallway on a breathing machine. He's been waiting for a room for days. Meanwhile, this lady gets VIP treatment and still dies? I didn't care about the chatter. All I knew was, Shirley Watts could not die in this hospital. I shoved Travis away and roared, "If you stop me again, she will die." He froze, wide-eyed, then backed off. My team and I resumed CPR. Shirley was unconscious, limp, and radiating heat. 40 degrees. A nurse yelled. "Her fever's back." Another nurse shouted from the phone. "Lab just called." Her blood work flagged critical bacteria levels. What the hell? She'd already recovered. This made no sense. But I didn't stop to think. We continued CPR, 5 cycles, 10, 15. Still no heartbeat. I looked at the monitor. Flatline. Shirley Watts was dead. As I pulled a sheet over her face, Travis snapped. He grabbed a fruit knife from a nearby tray and lunged at me. "I'll kill you. You killed my mom." I froze. For a second, I was back in my previous life, dying by his hand again. But this time, a male colleague saw him coming and smashed the knife away with a chair. Together, we tackled him to the floor. The police arrived within minutes. As they slapped handcuffs on Travis, I finally exhaled. Safe. For now. Chapter 4. All of Shirley Watts' medical records were immediately sealed. When the police suggested an autopsy, Travis Watts exploded. "My mom was Buddhist. If you dissect her, she won't find peace in the afterlife. You're all in on it, covering for each other. We're just poor nobodies and you treat us like trash." A middle-aged officer cut him off with a loud bark. "Cut the crap. The human body is complex. She wasn't undergoing any active treatment when she died. Same result could have happened at home. If you keep making baseless accusations, the hospital can sue you for defamation." That finally shut Travis up, but I could see the wheels turning. He remembered what had happened to Becky White. Maybe he realized the courtroom wasn't the jackpot he thought it would be. He glared at us like he was memorizing our faces. "Fine. Do the autopsy," he snapped. "But if I find out you bastards killed her, I'll go to the governor if I have to. I want justice." But when the autopsy results came back, they didn't say what he wanted to hear. Traces of liquid were found in Shirley's stomach, and the same strain of bacteria was found both there and in her blood. The police confronted Travis. "Did you give your mom anything to drink? Something unclean?" His jaw tightened. "I'd never poison my own mother." "You're broke. You tried suing the hospital and failed. Maybe you figured if she died under mysterious conditions, you'd cash in another way." He snapped. "I'm broke, yeah, but my mom's pension was my meal ticket. Why would I sabotage that?" The police frowned. "Did she act strange recently? Any odd visitors?" Travis scratched his head. "She'd been having diarrhea all week. We offered her meds, but she refused to take anything bactericidal. Said it would ruin her karma. Seemed fine though. I only stopped by during lunch. I didn't see anyone else." The case grew stranger by the hour. Our entire department was called in for statements, interviews, and reports. Then one day, as I was leaving the police station, I passed by the tech unit's desk and froze. On a monitor was a grainy still from security footage. I bolted over, staring at the screen. That woman shouldn't be here. Wrapped in a scarf, sunglasses over her face, but I knew that figure. I knew that posture. I'd recognize her even if she turned to dust. It was Becky White. 2 lives. 2 timelines. No mistaking her. Turns out, she had applied for deferred sentencing. Claimed she had 2 minors to care for. The court granted her supervised probation outside of jail. Now she was walking free. She was brought in for questioning again. I expected tears, regret, excuses. Instead, her first words were, "Oh, that old lady. She drank Ganges water." The forensic investigator practically slapped his forehead. The Ganges? No wonder. I couldn't believe it. Becky was still that smug, that brazen. Travis lunged at her. only to be restrained by officers. Becky shot him a dismissive glance, pulled a piece of paper from her coat, and handed it to the investigator. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone. You know how these religious folks are. They're obsessed with rituals. Some even begged me online to get them Ganges water. Said it would purify their souls." She shrugged. "I needed money. So I helped." The investigator narrowed his eyes. "You do know how filthy the Ganges is, right? You just handed that to sick patients?" Becky nodded casually. "Yep. Most of them just got diarrhea." "Shirley?" She insisted on drinking it for a whole month instead of a week. Her choice. She waved the paper she brought in. "But don't worry," she signed a waiver. My heart sank as I saw the form. Shirley Watts' signature was there, along with a red thumbprint. A legal waiver. Travis lost it. "You killed her. I'm gonna kill you." Becky backed away with fake fear. "See? This is why I wore a disguise at the hospital. I knew there'd be drama." She begged me for the water, kept messaging me. I didn't force anything. I even told her to stop when the diarrhea started. She said it was a trial from the Buddha. Legally, Becky had covered her bases. The police confirmed it. More than 20 people had taken the Ganges water. Only Shirley had died. So the law couldn't touch Becky. Travis's rage meant nothing. Even I couldn't act. There was nothing to hold her on, except contempt. My nails dug into my palms. If my male colleagues hadn't stopped Travis during that earlier attack, I might have died again, just like in the last timeline. And judging from Becky's eyes when she saw me, she knew it too. I stared at her long and hard. She smirked. This wasn't over. Chapter 5. Once the case was officially closed, Travis Watts had no choice but to leave the hospital. Becky White, fearing retaliation, actually voluntarily turned herself in to begin serving her prison sentence. And just like that, 1 year passed. But when Becky was released from jail, she did something no one saw coming. She started a new TikTok account, rebranded herself as a whistleblower nurse, and began monetizing her trauma story. She was back online, posting again, making money off the very thing that had nearly gotten me killed. I stared at her latest livestream. Behind her was a carefully styled set, a bookshelf, a coffee mug, a plant that screamed healing. She was using her notoriety as fuel, leaning into it, turning tragedy into clicks. But this time, I wasn't the only one who hated her. After Shirley died, Travis Watts' world collapsed. No more pension, no more scam targets, just debt collectors at the door. He was beaten so badly by one creditor that he could barely walk afterward. To pay them off, he sold the old family house. As the weather got colder, he ended up sleeping beneath a freeway underpass. One night, I sent him a text. An address. Becky White's new address. That night, Travis found her. He forced an entire bottle of pesticide down her throat. Then, he set her house on fire. But Travis was sloppy. Becky, always paranoid, had installed cameras, locks, and a backup plan. She woke up mid-poisoning, managed to knock Travis unconscious, and dragged herself out of the burning house. She called 911 before passing out. Travis was burned alive. When Becky was rushed to the ER, she was in multi-organ failure and barely clinging to life. As they pumped her stomach, she briefly regained consciousness and locked eyes with me. Her hand gripped my arm in desperation. "Dr. Sutton, help me. You're good with toxins, right? You know how to reverse this. I don't want to die." I leaned down and whispered, right next to her ear. "You wondered how Travis found your address?" Her eyes widened. I gave it to him. Becky gasped. How did you know where I lived?" My smile was ice cold. Because I lived there too, for 6 months, in my previous life. I know that house, like the back of my hand. A flicker of hatred flashed in her pupils. She tried to scream, "You should have died, not me." A nurse overheard and muttered, "Jesus, this lady's still delusional. She tried to murder a doctor and now she's cursing her? What a piece of work." I didn't flinch. I didn't reach for the antidote I carried. I let her fade. Let her feel the panic, the helplessness, the consequences. She had lived 2 lives too. I was sure of it. That's how she knew to rent that quiet, untraceable apartment. She remembered. Just like I did. I took the half-filled vial of antidote hidden in my coat sleeve and dropped it into the trash. Karma doesn't miss. The wheel always turns. And if you dig a grave for someone else, make it deep enough for 2. Chapter 6. Becky White died. No miracle. No last-minute recovery. Her organs gave out one by one. She was pronounced dead in the ICU at 3:42 a.m. No family came to claim the body. She died alone. No one mourned her. Not even online. Because once the police completed their investigation, everything came to light. Becky had been poisoning over 20 patients with holy water she sourced online. Water she claimed came from the Ganges, but had no real proof of origin. Shirley was the only one who died, but others had reported symptoms: nausea, vomiting, persistent diarrhea. It turned out she'd been charging them money under the table. "It's a spiritual cleansing service," she wrote on a burner email account. "The medical system only treats your body. I treat your soul." She even made them sign waivers. But that didn't stop the hospital from suing her estate for damages. And the authorities moved quickly to close down the entire operation. Her name was blacklisted from every licensed medical institution in the country. Dead or not, her reputation was radioactive. As for Travis, after Becky's death, the media found out what he'd done. The footage from her security camera made it clear he had broken in, poisoned her, and set the house on fire. He was arrested, indicted, and eventually sentenced. But none of that mattered to me anymore. I had outlived them both. And the hospital? We cleaned house. New policies. Stricter medication checks. Surveillance added to high-risk wards. Nurses were retrained, and a new compliance officer was hired. And me? I was promoted. Lead attending in my department. Funny how surviving a scandal can do that. But it didn't erase the past. Because even with Becky gone, Travis buried, and my name cleared, their shadows still clung to me. Whispers in the hallway. Sideways glances from new hires who had only read the headlines. I didn't care. Not anymore. Because I'd learned something. People like Becky always come back. Not literally. Not from the grave. But in other forms. Other faces. Other lies. And next time, I wouldn't show mercy. Chapter 7. Life returned to normal. For a while, patients came and went. Nurses rotated shifts. Hospital meetings resumed with the usual dull PowerPoint slides and coffee breath. No one mentioned Becky White anymore, but I knew better than to relax. Because something still felt off. One afternoon, a new hire in the pharmacy caught my attention. Young, chipper, blonde ponytail, dimples. She introduced herself as Ashley, said she'd just transferred from a hospital in Idaho. But something about her was too polished, too rehearsed. During her second week, she made a casual remark in the break room. "You ever notice how the system always protects the wrong people? Sometimes, I wonder what it'd take for someone to finally hold doctors accountable." Her tone was light. Her smile was sweet. But my blood ran cold. It was the same tone Becky used to have. The same passive-aggressive bite wrapped in sugar. So I started watching her. Quietly. Ashley never made mistakes. She never challenged orders, but she was always there. In the hall when I left a patient's room, hovering outside the nurse's station during shift change, lingering behind when others had clocked out. I ran a background check. Her license was real. Her credentials checked out, but I couldn't shake the feeling. Then one evening, I received an anonymous note in my locker. A printed message, block letters, no signature. "People like you always survive, but you never learn." That night, my front door lock had been scratched. Nothing stolen, just a faint gouge along the keyhole. A warning, and suddenly, I knew. Becky wasn't the only one who had come back. The system we worked in, the American healthcare machine, was a breeding ground for resentment, revenge, delusion. Becky had been the first, but not the last. There would always be another Ashley, someone else waiting in the wings, watching, judging, planning. And me, I'd be ready, because I'd already lived through hell, twice. And this time, I wouldn't just survive, I'd fight back first. Chapter 8. It began with a live stream. A medical podcast invited Ashley to speak anonymously about her experience working under toxic doctors. She wore a mask, altered her voice with a filter, but I knew it was her. "Some physicians think they're gods," she said. "They play with patients' lives and hide behind protocol when things go wrong. You'd be shocked how many cover-ups happen daily. And if you speak out, you're the next scapegoat." The comments exploded. "Speak the truth, Queen." Finally, someone brave enough to expose the medical mafia. They're all the same. White coats, black hearts. My name wasn't mentioned, but I knew where this was going. She didn't need to say it. She was setting the stage, planting seeds. It was exactly what Becky had done, just more polished, more digital, more viral. But I wasn't the same naive doctor I was 2 lifetimes ago. This time, I documented everything. Every odd glance, every chart she lingered over, every conversation she accidentally overheard. And when the hospital's IT department detected that someone had tried accessing restricted patient records from a pharmacy terminal, I already had the timestamp. Ashley. I didn't report it immediately. No. I waited. Let her feel safe. Let her escalate. And she did. She scheduled herself for night shift back-to-backs. She requested solo med handling permissions. She accidentally switched a patient's blood pressure meds, just enough to trigger symptoms, but not enough to raise suspicion. She wanted someone to make a mistake. She wanted me to take the fall. But I was ready. The night she tried to plant altered prescriptions under my name, I was already in the IT room watching the security feed live. I watched her swipe my access badge, stolen from my locker hours earlier. I watched her type in her changes. I recorded it all. Then I walked in, face to face. Her hands froze on the keyboard. Done playing? I asked. Her mouth opened, closed. 1,000 lies died behind her eyes. I held up my phone, the screen still recording. I've already sent this to the legal team, to HR, and to the board. She blinked. You don't get it, she said quietly. People like you always win. You lie, you manipulate the system, and you walk away untouched. No, I said. I survive. That's not the same thing. Becky was right about you. I stepped forward. Becky White lied, killed a patient, tried to frame me, and ended up burned to death. Are you sure you want to walk her path? Ashley's smile twitched. Death isn't the only revenge. Neither is survival, I replied. But justice? Justice is a patient woman. Security came moments later. She didn't resist, didn't scream, just walked away, quietly. A month later, after a full investigation, she was stripped of her license and arrested for felony medical fraud, identity theft, and endangering patient safety. I didn't celebrate. I didn't tell anyone. I went back to work, like always, because that's what the system demanded. Because justice was never about who screamed loudest or cried prettiest. It was about who outlasted the fire. And me, I had already walked through it. Twice, and come out stronger. The end.